Woo-hoo-hoo. And we're live once again on another Tuesday. And I have a special guest. Where are my fingers? I have a special guest in the house today, Jeff Young, the LinkedIn guru. I know it's always a little bit backwards, back and forth, back and forth. And we have an awesome topic today. But before we get stuck in and start talking about our topic, I always love for people to just know who's the guest, Da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
Jeff, please just introduce yourself quickly, and then we'll get stuck in.
yeah. Actually, based on the National Football League stuff, it probably should be Who Day, okay, which is a Cincinnati thing, right? Anyway, namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the folks, all the ships at sea. There's another old reference too. Sorry, you might have actually gotten that one. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'm Jeff Young, and I'm the LinkedIn guru. Namaste. It's been a pleasure to be here. This has been a week, Gillian, of nines. I've talked
Nice.
about the fact that I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've done over 900 seminars. In the last 9 days, I've done 5 events. Okay. And this morning, you and I talked about. I did a little Stump the Guru event this morning. I did a Stump the Guru event, and that was the 91st seminar I'd done with this person together. So this is all about nines, and nothing could be finer than to be niner.
Oh my gosh.
Ninth
Oh
time
my
you and I have
gosh.
been together. I can't believe it's been that many times.
Wow. And I'm not keeping track because I'm terrible with math. Are you here for the 9th time? Because that would be just perfect. Is that
Yeah. This is our ninth. Yeah, this is our ninth live.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Got to change
Okay,
the number
so
on the smoking jacket again.
okay, yeah, Kevin's going to be so jealous.
Yeah, like I'm one ahead of him, and that's about the
Yes.
only thing I'm ever ahead of Kevin with.
I love it. Okay, so today we're talking about minding your manners on LinkedIn. And you know what? This is a topic that's, I think, near and dear to both our hearts
It is.
and a lot of our buddies in the chat today, because this is something that can kind of make us all quite squirrely, that it's like LinkedIn is a social network, and we must learn to play nice with others. And I think that there are so many things that, and I'm not perfect. I wish I was. I'm not perfect, and I have made mistakes. And I was brushing my teeth this morning because that's where I think. And I was thinking to myself, oh, what are some of the things I have done wrong? Because I'm not here to say, oh, da 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 to you and everyone else. It's just like, how can we be better? How can we be better at this? So maybe even just identifying what can be something that's considered bad manners, and then how can we correct it so that moving forward, we're just getting better, because none of us is ever going to be perfect, but we can at least try to improve. Continuous improvement, right?
Absolutely.
Quality
That's
assurance.
that's a
So,
great.
so yeah, let's start with you, Jeff. What is your sort of number one pet peeve that makes you rip out your hair?
Well, first of all, again, I think that's a great approach. I think that if you're just striving to be better, in the show notes that you announced this with, you said that Jeff Young is known as one of the nicest guys on LinkedIn. You know what?
Yes.
That does my heart great. I'm so appreciative of that, because that's what I want to hear. And I think it's all about respect and and you got to respect people. You got to be kind to people. So if you approach it from that perspective, I think you've got a leg up on it already, right? So one of the things that is interesting, and that kind of started this conversation when we went, because I put a post out, I don't know, almost a week ago now, but I put a post out, and one of the 2 out of the first 3 comments, okay, now this is not something that people would normally think about, but 2 out of the first 3 comments had a link to that person who commented stuff instead of just commenting on stuff. Now, I know they probably didn't understand. They didn't really mean to be nasty, right? But I look at that and go, well, you just made it about yourself. And that's a small pet peeve of mine. It's kind of like, I would never, that's just, again, my philosophy. Okay. I would never put a link to my stuff in some other author's comments. Okay. unless I actually had asked them if it was okay.
Right.
Matter of fact, you being the kind person that you are, okay, I asked you once and you said, you got it, carte blanche. You can do it anytime you want to. I'm going, that was nice of you. You know, I'm still going to ask you every time. Okay.
Right. Right.
Because it might change, right? But that's the process. That's really where it comes from, is making it not about yourself, making it about the other person in the first place. Doesn't that
I
make sense?
love that. I love that. It's almost as if like when you're commenting on a post, I like to think of it this way, that when you're commenting on the post, you want to contribute to the conversation. So you want to add value, you want to add insight, but when you post a link, it's hijacking people out, because if they click that link,
Yeah.
what are the chances they're going to go back to that post? So it's kind of like the other person has, like, so if I was to do that on your post, it'd almost be like I'm using you
Yeah,
to get people over to my stuff. And it's
exactly.
just like, if we were fishing, I wouldn't use your bait and then have people, now I'm going to go catch the
Good
fish over
analogy.
on
Yeah.
in my pond.
Good
It's the
analogy.
same
Well,
thing.
and don't get me wrong, it's not as bad as it used to be. Okay, because now LinkedIn has implemented the fact that when you click a link like that, it opens a new tab. Remember,
True.
that's different than
True.
it used to be. So yeah, there's a good chance they might come back to you as well. But my whole point about it's not about the mechanics. It's about the attitude. If you make it about you instead of about the person that you're trying to make the comment on and add value, then that's it. That's one of the best things you can be to be a nice person on LinkedIn is just think about adding value and not noise.
True.
It just makes more sense to do it that way.
True. And this also counts for if you are putting links to other people's stuff. So if I was reading a post, and say for instance I was reading a post, I don't know, on John Esperian's, post, and I knew that you had done something, even though I'd say, well, it's not me, I'm sending them
Nope,
off to
nope.
Jeff, it's still the same thing. It's like any kind of link at all, even if it's not your profile, but if it's like, oh, I saw a YouTube on this. And it's like, again,
Yep,
it's kind of, it's considered hijacking the post, so
yeah,
to speak.
yep. And well, now it's your turn. What's one of your favorite, your pet peeves in terms of what you run into? Uh, there's a whole bunch of,
Tagging,
huh?
tagging, being
Exactly.
tagged,
I was gonna, yep,
being being tagged in something that is not relevant to me.
yeah,
It has nothing to do with me, and you're really just kind of saying, "I want your engagement on it," but it's like, you don't even like, we don't even have a relationship. You barely speak to me in the DMs, and
yep,
yet you're tagging me on all these posts, and
yep.
it's like, I just don't think it looks good, and it's frustrating for me when it's irrelevant. If you ask me, "Well, what's your opinion?" It's about LinkedIn Lives or it's about LinkedIn Video, then I
Of
understand that.
course,
That's
sure.
that's asking for my
Yeah,
expertise, but
exactly.
if you're just, and especially if I'm a tag wall,
Yeah,
I'm one of like
that's the worst.
50,
That's
that's
the
the
worst.
worst. That's the worst.
Yeah, that one just seems so self-serving because it is just mentioning a bunch of people to get their input on your post. If your post stands and your post is of value to begin with, that's going to happen without tagging people. The only
Right.
place I really tag people anymore on a regular basis is I tag people in the comments because if I'm commenting on their post, I want them to see through the notifications that I actually said something. They don't
I
have
like
to.
that.
I don't even. It's not even. It's up to them as to whether or not they even want to reply to my comment. I also kind of like though, and I would like it if most of the time people had time to at least acknowledge with a like or a reaction. The fact that they saw it, because otherwise I don't even know whether they saw it. So I could be just talking to myself, which sometimes I do anyway. But
That's
but
true. That's true. Actually that's a really good strategy of I tag everyone that the author of every post
yep,
or a comment, to
yep,
make sure that they understand that yes, I am part of this conversation, because I know nowadays our notifications are crazy. We've done whole lives on notifications and how to
yeah,
kind of stay on
exactly.
top of those. But it is a thing. So, okay, so here's something that when I was brushing my teeth this morning, this is the one thing that I realized maybe I've done wrong and I could maybe have done this a better way. And what it was I did a poll once, and I actually, not once, several times I've done polls. And what I've done is afterwards, I've done a carousel post, a slider post where I took the people's comments and I put it in a slider so that everybody could read what did that person have to say. And I thought
Mhm.
that was a really good way to sum up my poll results. And I wanted to let people know, and I didn't want to tag them all in my original post. So I put, a series of them in each comment. And I'm thinking maybe that was not a good idea. Maybe the better thing would have been to DM those people. So that's
Oh,
something where all of a sudden I'm second guessing myself. What
yeah.
what would you recommend to do in a situation like that?
I think again, you can't go wrong if you think about the other person and how they might react and ask permission. Yeah, I know a lot of people go, "Oh, I'd rather ask for, forgiveness than permission." I'm sorry. No, sometimes that's okay, but I think that, asking for permission is always the right idea. Again, it's just considering other, and more than anything else, I try to emulate other people that I know, like, trust, respect, okay, as well, because I try to emulate the things that you do. I try to emulate the things that Kevin D. Turner does. I especially try to emulate the relentlessly helpful one, John Espirian, what John does, because he's the most ethical person that I've ever bumped into out here on LinkedIn. He is. He's always thinking about how things would work and whether that's the right way. And I don't blame him, because that's his brand. He's supposed to be relentlessly helpful. And if you don't think about other people first, you're not going to be treated like you're relentlessly helpful.
I agree. I agree. I agree. So then the last thing that probably is another pet peeve of mine, and it is the DMs when people are connecting, especially for the first time, and that they pitch slap, or you think that you're having a conversation with them, and then it's like, then all of a sudden you go, hmm. I don't think this is. I think this is scripted,
It's a
and
bot.
then
Yeah, it's a
and
bot.
then you're like waiting for the pitch, and then boom, it comes, and
And
you're
it comes.
just like,
Yeah, I know.
"Ugh."
I know.
So how's the best way to respond to that sort of thing? Do you just unconnect? What do you do?
Yeah, pretty much. Again, let's go back to people that you emulate. Okay, I've got, you know me. I'm acronyms. I'm Mr. Acronyms. So I'm really always trying to relate to my tribe. Okay, and tribe, TRIBE, is together really is better for everyone. Okay, TRIBE. And so if you do it together, that's great. But if this person's not on the same page, then I basically just drop it and go on. And depending on the severity, sometimes I might even block somebody if I think they're going to be a bully or harassing me or something along those lines. But usually I don't have to. Usually I just ignore them, go on, and it's done. So it's
I like
usually
that.
the best thing. And that
I
and
like that.
another thing that, speaking of kindness, here's a reply. If you're getting trolled, if somebody trolls you, I love Stella De Silva's response to trolls. Okay, the Stellalicious one, Stella De Silva, just sends them a group of hearts, and that's all she will talk to them with. So they're not going to get anything but love back from her, but they're not going to get, they're not going to get a rise out of it, and it's not going to become a flame com, okay, back and forth, argument. I just love that approach. Kill them
I
with
love that.
kindness.
I love that. I love that. And it's interesting. I was on an audio event yesterday with the ladies of LinkedIn, and Lanier Johnston, who I absolutely love.
Lovely lady.
She actually talked about people in the comments, and she said, be positive, be kind. Like kindness, sort of like Russ John says, kindness
Yeah.
is cool. And it's
Mhm.
so true. It's so
Yep.
true. And even in the DMs, it's like the other day, I really had probably about 12 pitches in a row. And then the 13th person was the nicest guy. And he was just like, thank you so much for connecting with me. If there's anything that I can do for you, it was just like he just it was like the complete opposite of all the other people. So I wrote him back and I just said, I want to let you know that what you did was so good and made me feel so good, because I had 12 in a row of just nasty pitches and this and that. And I said, and you rose above, the noise. And I thought, I should let him know that. Like, I could have just said thanks, and
No,
carried
no.
on. But I thought, no, I think you have to reward people for being kind, because sometimes it's now becoming the exception to the rule, that not everybody's coming at the same token with kindness and whatever.
It
So
means so
let
much.
people know.
It means so much to me when someone does that, because they took the time to do that. And I know we're all busy. I know we all got a lot of other things that we could be doing, but taking the time to make it about the other person and compliment the other person is great. So
I
we
love
should,
it. I love it.
we should do some comments. We're
Here we go.
there. We go.
We're
Good
doing them.
morning.
We're doing it. So we've got our lovely Annette in the house. Okay, let's get this party started, otherwise known as the Gillian and Jeff show. I love that, Annette. I love that. Lunching while I watch in Florida, Debbie. Woohoo! And we have Nigel. Early
Hello.
evening here in the
Another nice
UK.
gentleman.
Now all three of these folks are the epitome of kindness and
Yep,
respect and
yep.
good manners, and so we absolutely love it. Oh my gosh, an old friend of mine. Hi,
Oh,
Karen. Hi, Jillian. Oh, it's always so fun when you see friends popping in. Woohoo! Go
oh, yeah.
Bengals.
Who day, who day.
Oh, is that the Ohio team?
That's a Ohio team from Cincinnati. Yes.
Okay, okay. I know nothing about sports.
Yeah,
I'm like,
no
I'm
problem.
like, I'm like Game of Thrones. You know nothing, Jillian. I know nothing, Jon Snow.
Speaking,
Hello, Jillian. Hi, Jeff. We got Lois in the house, and that
speaking of,
means somebody else is not too far
oh,
behind.
he'll be right here. Yeah, there he
There
is.
we go. Not often you see a
Oh,
guru and a goddess on the same LinkedIn Live. Yay! That's
nine
wonderful.
times, nine times you've seen that, I hope. Anyway.
That's right. Now I'm expecting the comment from Poppy to show up, but it's
Oh,
not
no.
here. It's not here.
Okay.
Ah, wonderful. Excited to be here live with my brand new connections, Jillian and Jeff. Especially this topic is so important. And she was the latest Friday shout. Woo-hoo-hoo. That's
And
exciting.
again, following along, one of the comments that I made is that if John Espirian thinks you're impressive, then it must be so, and that
That's
led
so
to a
true.
conversation with Meyerline, and now we of course are connected. So
I
it's
love it. I
the way
love
to
it.
work.
I love it. I love it. Stuart, a different meaning to 9 to 5, Jeff. Thanks for hosting, Jillian. That's so true. That's so true. And Felipe, hi, Jillian and Jeff. Great to see you both together speaking about this topic. Some salespeople should go through a manners class before they start with a sales pitch as an introductory message. And that is so true. That is so true. Do you think it is the sales? Do you think that sort of drives a lot of the bad manners, Jeff? Or do you think maybe social media just makes you more of what you already are? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think maybe it's the latter. I mean, obviously, sales has more opportunities for that because there's a lot more pressure behind it. A lot of people who don't or who haven't kind of moved with the times and are old school sales. I mean, ABC, always be closing. I'm sorry, that just doesn't exist anymore as far as I'm concerned for sales because
No.
you can be closing. Yeah, you should always be closing, but that's always by building a relationship. Okay, so
Yes.
that makes it so much easier to do the close. So yeah,
And also too, immediately comes to mind when I think of sales, I think of Niraj. I think of Jules White, and
yes,
these are folks
yes,
who they represent sales, and they're the kindest people I know. So it's like
absolutely. They
it's
concentrate on the human element of the
yes,
sale, and that's the way it should
yes. Yes, yes.
be. Piggybacking.
Piggybacking, I like that. That's
It's a
probably
good
a little
term.
bit
That is a good.
kinder. That's
Thank you.
kinder.
I might steal that, Debbie. That's a
I
good one.
like piggybacking. That yay, Debbie. That's a good one. That's a good one. And I think that, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's like the piggy. I like animals. I just anything to do with animals, and it's really good. Oh, I have just blown up the comments. There we go. Jeff, you are so right about the comments. It's rude to try and hijack your audience. And yes, and I think with a link, we do think more of the hijacking because they're gone.
Yeah.
You've taken them away and
Yeah.
never to be seen again unless there's a ransom involved.
Mhm.
Bill says, Debbie, yes, I strongly dislike it and will remove a connection that does that. Oh,
Ooh,
that's very interesting. That's
yeah.
interesting.
Well,
And
sometimes I call people on it a little bit, right? And it depends. I mean, I'm not going to call them on it out in public. I'm not going to say, "Why did you do that?" To the rest of the world. But I
yes,
might DM
yes,
them and go, "Hey, because they don't know unless you tell them how it made you feel." So,
true, true,
and
true.
I give everybody else carte blanche as well. If I do something that makes you feel like that wasn't quite right, you have permission to DM me and let me know that. I will make it right. I will, whatever that is.
I agree. I agree. And you know what? This also brings up another point of kind of saying things in the right place. Like a
Mm,
lot of times, for instance, I might see somebody that I think has it wrong. They're giving bad information, or it's not right, or just whatever.
yeah,
And I try not to take them to task in the public forum because I feel that it might affect their credibility, and so I might go somewhere and say, well, actually, that's not true. But I do it in private. And
yeah,
that's like even when, before LinkedIn was doing the auto generated captioning, it would make me nuts when people who knew better were not using captions.
mm,
And I thought,
yeah.
I'm not going to be the caption police and take them down in public, but I would talk to them in private and say, hey, there are sources you can use. They don't cost any money. They're easy to use, but I wouldn't do it in a public forum because I just feel that maybe I wouldn't say anything that I wouldn't say if we were all standing around in a group.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and it's the little things that make the difference, right? Okay. And honestly, we haven't talked about this, but I think that we need to say something about in terms of minding your manners. It also, we said it's about kindness, it's about respect, but I think it's also about diversity, about inclusion, and about equity as well. Okay. And if you get all three of those right, you will not die. You will not die. It's living the right way, right? And so, from that perspective, one of the things is an example is right there on the screen in front of you. I didn't know this before. I thought lowercase hashtags were fine. Okay.
Oh,
But they're much better for people who are using a screen reader because it actually breaks the words up so that the screen reader can read it as, the right words. And that's just something that now I just do as a habit because most of my peeps, most of my tribe is hearing, but not all of them are. So I try to be respectful of that person as well to make sure that I use what's called. I know John might
camel
correct me on this.
case.
I call it camel case. I think John actually uses the proper term for it, which is I think called Pascal. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I think there's a technical term for it. But anyway, yeah, he's
That's
he's smarter
interesting.
than I am. So I call it camel case because it looks right because it's got hooks. It works for
Yes. Yes. And if you think about it, I don't know why LinkedIn doesn't use, like not to diss LinkedIn, but it's like it's like it wants to flip them for me.
yeah.
So it's like when it gives me suggested hashtags, I sometimes want to use that hashtag, but because it's not camel case, I have to like fiddle with it. And I go, I'll just go
Yep.
ahead and make sure I have it done beforehand and don't have to worry about it. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's about value and not self-promotion. You got it, Annette.
Yeah.
She's so bright. She's so bright. Okay, so when people talk to each other, I just kind of move
Yeah, that's
along.
fine.
Okay. 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 We've got
You
people saying hi to each other, and it's so fun. It's so fun. You're the one who taught me to DM people, Jillian. Oh, well, that's interesting. And I think she's talking in reference to like when you're doing a big post, and we did like some sort of like creator celebration of life or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we highlighted all these creators, and we decided we didn't want to DM. We didn't want to just, put their name in a tag wall. So we actually DM'd each and every person with our post and just said, hey, here is a post. We included you. Feel free to check it out. And that's it. We
Yep,
didn't
that's
say,
it. That's
please
all you
go and comment. And that's another one, Jeff, where I
yeah.
used to have a couple of
Don't
people
ask.
and it's like they were making me nuts, and they've stopped doing it now. I think because I didn't respond,
You
but they
ignore them.
would say, my post isn't getting enough love. Could you go and it's just kind of like, that just kind of feels, I don't know, it feels dishonest. It's like
Yeah.
if you're, and especially what if I go and I don't like it? Then what do I do?
Well,
So it's
yeah.
just like,
Do I say so?
yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
that's another thing. Oh, if you had mentioned by connection.
Oh, sorry, I'll
Oh,
bring it up. Okay, John says, if you're mentioned by a connection you've unfollowed but not disconnected from,
you
you
won't see
won't
it.
receive a notification. So please don't think that at
Yeah,
mentions
yeah.
are bulletproof attention grabbers. That's so
Yeah, that's
true.
a good point, John, because I mean, most of the time I'm just trying to respond to the person and make sure it's there. If they never come back, I mean, that's enough. Well, here's another thing about being nice on LinkedIn as well. And I've said this before, I'll say it in a slightly different way this time, though. Okay. For me, it's not about just the posting, it's about curating the content that you post as well. And by
Mm,
curate, I mean go back and look. Okay, so usually people, even if I've unfollowed someone or disconnected with someone, I know they commented on it because I'm going to go back and I'm going to, just like you are after this live, you're going to go back and look at every single comment and see whether or
yep.
not there's something that needs to be said or responded to. So
Yeah, yeah. And that's another part of the manners, and I know that that's something you and I really work hard at, Jeff,
Mhm.
is that we feel terrible if we ignore people,
Yeah.
and in my opinion, if I see something that I didn't respond to a comment, I don't care how old it is, I will still go and comment.
Yep.
And it's like I might go, "Oh my gosh, they left this comment 3 months ago." And I go ahead and I respond, and you know what? I get a like. People notice. Like, you would think that
Yeah.
somebody will just go, "That's ridiculous. She's commenting now." They like it. People like to be acknowledged. People
Exactly.
like to be
That's
acknowledged. So
all
it's
you're trying
never
to do.
too late. It's never too late. And never, especially with the LinkedIn Lives, that's the one thing that I really have to implore with people. If you are a guest or a host of a LinkedIn Live, yes, it is a lot of work to go back and respond to every single comment and keep going for days. And you're just like, sometimes it just feels like, oh, why is this so hard? It just is. And
Yeah.
hopefully it's going to get better. For some reason, Kevin Turner is the only person on the planet that can just actually, it works for the rest of us. We have to go all the hard way. But the thing is, it is worth it. People like to be acknowledged. Take the time. If somebody took the time to be there cheering you on, why can't we take the time to go back and thank them? It's just,
Yep.
it's just kind. It's just
Yep.
kind. So John says, that's such a lovely compliment, Jeff. I love you, buddy. Thanks. And I love that. I love that. I love that. And then he's talking about Stella. Stella and Brenda are both great at dealing with trollish
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's talking about Brenda Miller. Yeah, she's got a good approach
Yes.
too. Brenda actually
Yes.
goes back and tries to sell them services.
She's amazing.
You
She's
might need
amazing.
this because you're not doing it right.
Yep, yep, and I know that one time I received some really horrid harassment on LinkedIn. It was sexual harassment,
Ooh,
and I didn't know what to do about it, and I had just kind of started on LinkedIn, and I went to Brenda, and I thought, well, she was like one of the biggest women I knew in terms of having connections and followers and stuff. And I reached out to her and I said, I'm not sure how to handle this. And she was excellent. She has an article. She told me how to report and block. And she said, you don't put up with this stuff. And I
yeah,
really appreciated that guidance. So that was good. And that's why it's important to have your tribe of people that you can go to and just say, I don't know how to handle this. Because
yeah.
sometimes we don't
Ask
know how
for
to
advice.
handle it. Yeah. And I know many, many times when I was first getting started on LinkedIn, Jeff, I remember you would send me a note and you would say, "Hey, I just saw a comment that's totally inappropriate that somebody put on your post." And you told me, you were the one that told me I could delete it. And I was like, I can delete a comment?
Yeah,
I didn't know that at the time. And
yeah,
it's like,
control.
so if you get something that's like really like, I'll sell your house tomorrow. Here's my here's my phone number. And you're like, why would that be on my post? That's so irrelevant.
Yeah,
Delete that puppy. Delete
yep.
that puppy.
You're out of here.
Okay. Yeah, you're out of here. You're here, fella. So we've reached the end of our 30 minutes. So Jeff, why don't you sum it up for us and give us the takeaway today of, just wrapping up this whole mind your manners thing.
Well, for me personally, it comes back to your values, and you know me. People who know me and have been around me long enough know that I have values where I love two things, and one of them is Star Trek, and the other one is Star Wars. Okay, and I'll leave you with two thoughts. Okay, from the Star Trek standpoint, Star Trek has always been about hope for the future. About in 1966, for the first time, they ever had a television show that had all nationalities and all and all creeds, etc., working together, etc. So obviously, one of the things that is always said about Star Trek is, of course, live long and prosper. Okay. And by the way, this Decide to Be Kind bracelet is for a shout out to
Mm.
Shelley Elsliger, my sister from another mister. So that's why this is here today. So think of it that way, but use a slightly different tack on it. Okay, like I do. Don't think of it as live long and prosper. Think of it as give long and prosper. Okay,
Mm.
because
Mm.
that's a way of approaching things from a manner standpoint that will help. Okay, and now Star
I
Wars.
love that.
Obviously, there's always may the force be with you. Okay, and to me, and I'm coming back to my acronyms here. Okay, my acronyms for force is may the force be with you. Is force is feeling of real caring experience. So
Mm.
FORCE, and that's what you want to strive for as well when you're out there and being well mannered and being a good citizen of LinkedIn. Does that make
I
sense?
love
I
that.
hope so.
That absolutely makes sense. And you know what? I have to tell you, I'm always impressed you can remember these acronyms. I can barely remember my own name, It's and you just whip out these acronyms. You're just amazing. But you're just the epitome of everything that is, the mild-mannered reporter, Superman. You really are Super Jeff, and you're a great role model of, if anybody wants to really know great ways to comment, and you're not sure, and maybe you're new to LinkedIn and you're like, I don't really know how to participate in this conversation. Go to Jeff's profile. You should be following him anyways, but go to Jeff's profile and look not necessarily at his posts, just go look at his activity to see how he is responding to other people, and you will see how he does it, and he does it with tact and grace and a lot of fun, because there's always something jumping around on the screen, some sort of gif or gif, whatever we want to call it, the little peanut butter swirling around.
Yeah.
And you're just all things good, Jeff. So thank you for
Thank you.
being the nice
Thank you
person you
so
are.
much.
I love
Namaste.
it. I love it. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye to everybody today, and we'll see you all next week on another LinkedIn Live with Gillian. Okay, bye, everybody.